Good evening, and if you're watching on Saturday night, welcome to the repeat of yesterday's show, which went roughly like this. In the news this week, in Bosnia, British troops react to reports that Kate Adie is on her way. In response to the current Homes for Vote scandal, Westminster Council launches a new scheme to rehouse Labour voters. And there's a national outcry as a man stands next to Jeffrey Archer with a cricket bat and fails to use it. On Ian Hislop's team is a recent recipient of the OBE who said, "I'm a horsefly biting the arses of those in power," which somewhat surprised the Queen at the time. Claire Rayner. And on our guest team this week, firstly, an actor who, since starring in the hit series Men Behaving Badly, receives a sackful of letters from girls every week asking where he gets his hair done, Neil Morrissey. And secondly, an actor who, since starring in the hit series Men Behaving Badly, receives a sackful of letters from girls every week asking if he can pass them on to Neil Morrissey, Martin Clunes. And so we grind to a start with our opening film round. 4 random specimens of news life. Ian and Claire, it's own up time for you.
I think that's Lord Nolan. It's a second-hand car dealer, probably an MP. Now that's an arms dealer.
That's symbolism, isn't it? Freudian symbolism for what Miller does best.
And Edward Heath on the receiving end. How unpleasant.
The bits on the side.
Lord Nolan said that, you know, there are new rules in which all MPs had to declare their interests. So the Conservative MPs said, no, we won't. And that was it.
You went all uppity on him.
Poor old Hattersley gets it in the neck because he's actually honest. And he says, well, I earn all this money. £100,000 for writing for the Express. Someone's got to do it.
Dirty work, no work.
And he is, in fact, a TV critic for the Express. So
he is. Hi, Roy.
Yeah. Yes.
But then the others didn't declare it at all. Mellor works for all these companies and said nothing. Heath of all people. Yeah. I thought he was dead. Not earning millions.
Yes, it is the new register of members' interest. David Mellor has admitted to links with several arms companies. Douglas Hurd has registered his directorship at NatWest Bank, and John Major has declared his Saturday job at Mr. Byright. Martin and Neil, your mission?
British Embassy.
Well read.
I want to kiss you. I like to kiss you too. Yeah. No, that's a handprint found on the bottom of a Russian spy. It's a British handprint. That's a question about spies, about the Russians calling all the English chaps over to Russia and saying, stop spying on us.
Doesn't it make you nostalgic? You know, those good old days when all we had to worry about was the nuclear threat and no BSC and no AIDS. It was lovely then.
When we were at war with Germany.
Well, yes.
And who's done all the arresting over there?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
Lightest interest, to be honest.
You've not been reading a paper, have you, this week?
No, far too busy for that.
No, well, there's no need as any topical news quiz. And did you notice anyone else in the bit of film that we showed you? Probably not.
Ripkin, the Foreign Secretary.
Well done. Good.
Doing a Tommy Cooper impersonation.
Was that Yeltsin snogging Major,
Nothing gets past you, does it? No. There's also someone else who's sort of forgotten in all this business about the expulsion of the British diplomats.
The Russian man who was arrested. He faces possible capital punishment for spying on his own country. It's a barrel of laughs, this story, I tell you.
Is there anything we can do at all?
You can make a few cheap jokes, Angus, see if that works.
Yes,
I think Yeltsin will be watching now. Oh, right. I better give him life imprisonment.
But isn't this all about helping you?
Yeltsin, not Tommy Cooper.
Even though it might have looked like Jimmy Somerville. Ian and Claire, it's that time of year again.
Oh, yes, this is water, isn't it? This is all about drought.
Not there.
No, this is about, was it Trent water? Someone telling us to pave our gardens. I tell you what they're doing, they're burying the chairman of Trent Water under there. But it was more fun when they told us to share a bath, wasn't it? I mean, that's not so much fun, pave the garden.
It's also a good way to meet neighbours as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
It was in Fred West's case, wasn't it?
Yes. I think cheap gags at the expense of a Russian who's about to die is nothing compared with the number of people you've just offended.
I think Claire was entirely right, wasn't she?
Yes, she was entirely
Her
right.
advice was to share a bath, love, don't pave your garden.
And you get dry afterwards. If you roll on the grass after having your shower, the leftover water waters the grass. And it's better than a hosepipe.
That's a pretty thought, isn't it?
And who was the... What were the other recommendations, do you remember, in the leaflet?
Don't nick water from rivers.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're a good citizen, aren't you? Are you a shareholder?
No, not yet. I'm a noddy holder.
I'll come back to that later, thanks, Martin. Yorkshire Water have already imposed a hosepipe ban. At a press conference, their managing director, Trevor Newton, said it's quite possible to have a bath or shower in half a bowl full of water.
And I don't think I could.
It was noticeable that most of the press were standing some 20 yards away from them at the time. And finally, Martin and Neil, the battle continues.
They're silent,
That's
aren't
people
they?
working, they don't know about it. That's people working, dear. That's what that is.
Is
Yes.
that what it is? Yes.
Doesn't look much fun to me.
Men's work in big type, that might be a clue.
I think Britain's job centres are encouraging men to do traditional women's jobs and vice versa. Sort of cross-dressing in the workplace.
Did you notice in those pictures that the women were doing women's work as well as their men's work? I mean, it was ever like
I think the
that.
only exception was cleaning, which they said ladies should do. I'm only quoting the man in the...
It's about you men, isn't it? It's about encouraging men to take over female roles, so then they could, and I'm all for it. I think men would be much better off staying home a bit more and changing nappies and doing real work like that.
Doing real work.
Real work, yes. What women do. It's called work, yes. No, seriously, it is about the move towards encouraging men to be more active in the family, and I'm all for it.
Yes, indeed.
But I'm not.
We all inwardly applaud your sentiment, obviously.
Says he lied to what he's got to say.
Yes, the drawback is that it's not the right answer.
Isn't it worse than that? It's not that men are encouraged to do women's work, it's
Obsolete.
just men are just told to forget it.
Because we could do all that, and women could do all that we do.
Better.
We couldn't have babies, which they could still do.
Yeah,
really
so they
need
can do everything,
Yeah.
and we can just forget it.
So we can actually sit
Do you mean I'm the only useful member of this entire row?
I just love, yeah.
It's
We've only been brought in to help the ratings. I mean, honestly, with all this tat, we've had this up years. It's like bloody rhubarb and custard. Come on and splash out of it. Get some new kit here. Have a nice walk down. Be lovely. You should watch
Flashing lights on
They
the
should
step.
watch some of the modern programmes. They've got all that. Carpet everywhere. You've just got one little bit of carpet. I could hoover that. Anyway, go on, get on with it.
yes, well, I was going to try and drag you back to the question, which is, it is the Equal Opportunities Commission's report that more men than women are now complaining about sexual discrimination in the jobs market. A female executive who was looking for a new receptionist turned away a builder who'd applied. She said that she didn't want to be caught looking at his cleavage every time his back was turned. Several men were refused a job researching into menstruation and complained to the chairman of the Equal Opportunities Commission, who then burst into tears and ran out of the room.
Corny. Can't you do better than that, Angus?
Well, they liked it.
No.
They liked it. And at the end of that round, I have to tell you that Martin
You've got
and Neil...
no friends.
Yes. Martin and Neil have an embarrassingly slight 3, whilst Ian and Claire have an almost oversized 5.
Well, there you go.
Not yet.
Regular viewers will know that round 2 is sometimes tailored to suit our guests' specialist areas. So this week we focus on agony columns and those personal, emotional and sexual problems that are all too familiar to Martin and Neil. In particular, the Sun's daily photo strip, Deirdre's photo casebook, featuring those everyday stories of people who haven't got quite enough clothes on. All the teams have to do is guess the storyline and what advice Deirdre came up with. So here is the opening part of our domestic drama. What's the finely honed dialogue here?
I think he's saying to the girl, "What time is it, please?" And she's saying, "I can't tell you because I'm holding milk in the hand that I've got my watch on. And if I told you, it would spill. You old prankster."
He's coming, is it? "I saw you hiding there, you naughty thing. Now, give me that chloroform and let's have some real fun."
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Well,
Isn't it him just coming in and saying, "Good evening, I represent David Mellor"?
That's what you look so worried.
well, let's have a look at what they actually said. It's in fact, so have you got a boyfriend back home then, Anna? No, no one special. I'm hoping to meet a nice Englishman while I'm here, Ted.
Is this the first frame?
This is the first.
Oh, they must get their kid off in the next frame then.
Well, odd you should say that. So he's saying, so everything they say about Swedish au pairs is true, eh, Anna? But what's the au pair saying back?
Yes, we're all monopeds.
Or, I've got no idea, Ted, I'm from Hull.
It is surprisingly close, because in fact she says, I'm not Swedish, I'm Dutch. So they're in bed together. What could possibly happen next? Yes, the kid turns up and catches them in flagranti. Daddy, what are you doing is naturally what the boy says. So what is the reply from the father?
Daddy, what are you doing? I'm waiting for... No, I won't do that one.
No.
Daddy, what are you doing?
I'm under
shagging the au pair.
Well,
He's sort of honest with his kids.
Absolutely. The
Mum
child
and
would
Dad.
be better brought up if he tells the truth, wouldn't it, Claire?
Oh, yes.
Why is he underneath the duvet and she's just sort of sitting on top?
So you'd see his cock.
They're very careful on the sun not to...
You're a very profound man, Martin.
This is his
I'm going to have
area,
to
I
take
can
you a
tell.
lot more seriously.
Yes, well, we bow to you.
Well, because she can hide her bush just by shutting her leg.
You can't see that the child hasn't got pants on because of the caption.
Apparently she's Dutch, hop in.
I think we've accidentally stumbled upon Martin's area of expertise.
Yeah, I like these things.
Yes, definitely. In fact, Ted says, Anna hurt her back, and I was just rubbing it to make her feel better. You won't say anything to your mother, will you?
The kid said, bollocks.
And so to the final frame, with Ted's wife suddenly making an appearance. What is the thought here?
I must get rid of that blonde wig.
Yeah.
What would you do if she wrote into you saying, "Dear Claire,"
My husband's been having it off
with the au pair, should I get rid of him or the au pair?
Well, I'm damned
She's
if
a
I
very
do.
good au pair.
To be perfectly honest, I would keep the au pair, but I'm damned if I'd let him sleep so peacefully after what he'd been up to.
What would
I'd be
you do?
giving him hell.
Knackered, Claire. Obviously, he's serving up old cheap wig here and the Dutch bird.
He would not be sleeping so peacefully alongside me if he'd done that, I tell you.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm not... I think we should take it seriously.
You've got that problem as well.
Well, I'll tell you what her thoughts are. I don't know who to believe, my son or my husband. Should I accept Ted's story and avoid a scene? So, given this moral dilemma, what's Deirdre's advice to Ted's wife?
I think in the next episode,
I'd wake
she
him up
should
and try
wake
and sort
him
it
up
up.
get out of bed and take all her clothes off. That's what the Sun wants. And then pretend you're doing a public service. You wouldn't have done that, would you, Claire?
Heaven forfend.
Apart from work from the Sun.
Oh dear. It was a newspaper in those days. I remember it well.
Are we pre-war here, or?
Martin and Neil, then, let's have your expert advice.
Stay in more.
Yeah.
Find some little chores around the house, they won't get at it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it depends if the child has a history of lying before, because obviously she's not, she's only got the child's word to go on. He's an infant, they're not always reliable, are they?
I vote you have Claire's job.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my advice is to get out more.
Right.
So I said, no, stay in.
Stay in.
I don't really care, actually.
No, I gather that. Well, I'll tell you that Deirdre's advice to the wife is, don't accuse Ted. Perhaps he feels threatened. Use some of your pay to take him out to dinner and re-establish your relationship as lovers. Deirdre's photo casebook has been criticised for its gratuitous nudity, but to be fair to the female models, they only take their clothes off if it's absolutely essential for the fee. Which trouble and strife bring us bang to the end of this second round, and the state of affairs is that, well, Martin and Neil clearly have problems with 4, whilst Ian and Claire have got it all sorted with 5. Well, round 3 wouldn't be round 3 without some sort of questions involved, obviously. And as ever, it's our odd one out. Martin, your upstanding individuals are John Wayne Bobbitt, Nick Leeson, Nick Hornby, and Babe.
Is it something to do with films of books? He's had numerous works on his, what should I say? Cock again, I think.
They're not making a movie of the Bobbitt.
No, they have, so it's quite good.
It's about people being played by film stars in adaptations, isn't it? Leeson's going to be played by someone else, I think Hugh Grant. Don't laugh.
No, I'm not.
Just because you weren't offered it.
I know I wasn't, darling. I'm busy.
Nick Hornby. Doing what?
You know.
I will give one to Martin.
Yes!
Yes, it's a whole point.
Yeah, no, but we've equalised, that's good.
The answer is that they've all sold the film rights to their lives, apart from Babe, who didn't get any money from the film of his life, and has since fired his agent. The film John Wayne Bobbitt Uncut, which Martin has seen, includes a graphic reconstruction of the microsurgery involved in stitching his penis back on, although more interesting for sharp-eyed viewers is the mystery blonde in the tiara standing behind the surgeon. Neil, your inanimate objects are Pembroke Street in York, Richard and Judy, Norman Lamont, and J. Howard Marshall II.
What, that house? No idea.
It is a whole street, not a house.
Oh, it's a street.
He's showing a picture of a house. How can he possibly get
You see, you're cheating, aren't you?
I think it might be about credit cards. This chap, Richard, didn't he have slight trouble about paying his bills? He didn't
Oh, really?
Well, he didn't. And then isn't
How unbelievably tasteless to bring that up.
I know. I'm just like, I
I
learned...
think you'd get someone better on than an old Sun journalist raking up shoplifting stories.
Here. Have a jelly baby, it might sweeten you.
A jelly baby.
That's what I brought them for, in case you got stroppy. Tears before tea.
This one's been bobbitted.
Now be quiet eating that while I talk. Right, it's about bills. This...
Can I just say that's one of the more surreal moments of the series?
I thought if I gave him a sweet, he'd shut up. Right. Now...
I'll shut up if you give me one as well.
Jelly babies. They're guaranteed BSE free.
I've finished.
Cat.
Hey!
Topical news quiz, you get applauded for catching a jelly baby.
Mind if I smoke?
The quiz, it seems irrelevant now,
I think the odd one out is the house, because I don't know, that doesn't have a credit card. But
Right.
he didn't pay his bills. The chap at the bottom, his wife, has been had up for cheating on her credit cards, and we all know about Lord Norman Lamont and credit cards.
It's a sexual question, actually. If you have a clue.
Oh, houses haven't got genitals.
It is that they have all been disturbed by the sound of people having sex, except for J. Howard Marshall II, who failed to be disturbed by the sound of his wife Anna Nicole Smith having sex with a security guard, who then he had died several months earlier. This is true?
Expect him to then.
Really, could you?
No, that's
Your
true.
ears don't go on working after death, surely.
Mine will. Good point. They've already got a series lined up.
Claire, your
Yes.
deceptively simple bunch are Princess Diana,
Again.
Prince Charles, the Queen, and William Gladstone.
What if it's something to do with falling? Because he used to collect fallen women, you know, Gladstone, that was his thing. But I can't...
Collect.
Yes, he used to go out the streets and bring them home and talk to them about being fallen women.
Not ones that have fallen over.
No. I'm just going to guess on one of them. Who am I going to guess on?
My guess is that 3 of them are members of the royal family and one of them isn't.
Is it Princess
An
Di
inspired
because
guess.
she's the only one who came on a motorbike and had an insect squashed on her floor?
Yes, I'm going to have to give you this as well, by the looks of it. The answer is that they have all made secret nocturnal visits, with the exception of Her Majesty the Queen, who made her secret visit during the day, namely to Maidenhead Magistrates Court, to watch a typical day's proceedings in court. Apparently it was a great success until the case involving a football hooligan, when Her Majesty got a bit overexcited, leapt over the rail and punched the prosecutor. And finally, in this round, Ian, a host of undesirables. David Mellor, Andrew Neil, Stephen Dorrell, and Dame Shirley Porter.
Dame Shirley Porter had a very bad week because she was accused by the district auditor of gerrymandering.
Have they formed a little musical combo with, what's his name in the bottom corner clapping away there?
Yes.
Mr. Mellor playing the triangle, this top chap in the top corner
doing the high
clashing
notes.
something together.
Yes.
Well, Mellor's just bought an enormous house by the Thames. Neil's got a penthouse flat somewhere.
I haven't.
It is on the top floor, but it's not
What you call a penthouse.
No. Yes, it's a historical question, I should say, as well.
I've no idea.
No, you haven't the faintest idea, have you? I'll tell you. It is the odd one out is Dame Shirley Porter, as the 3 men all shared a flat with each other in Earl's Court.
Did they really?
Stephen Dorrell lived with Andrew Neil and David Mellor for several months until eventually one day they noticed him. Andrew Neil says he remembers the time David Mellor announced he was off to start a family. It was generally around 10 o'clock every Friday night. Which home truths mark the end of this particularly odd one, and the outcome is that, well, both teams are standing equally proud. Martin and Neil and Ian and Claire happily sharing 5. It's not a high-scoring contest, is it? Time now for a series of mysterious cover-ups that masquerades as our missing words round. The team's task to shed light on those parts of the week's headlines that are currently in darkness. But by way of a wild card, this week's guest publication is the world-renowned International Pest Control. So, Mrs. Van Gogh has brush with what?
Nice dustpan, all offers welcome.
Anyway, isn't it Mrs. Van Gogh, anyway?
Van Gogh?
Yes.
Thank God.
Since you were having a go at me about pronouncing médaillon perfectly adequately last week.
Still haven't quite got the hang of it, have you? Mrs. Van Gogh has brush with British Gas. It's a Mrs. Ruth Snell Rainbow Van Gogh of York, who complained to British Gas for making fun of her name. Because they sent her a letter addressed to Mrs. Ruth Snell Rainbow Hallucinogenic Experience. Next, what? The problem of resistance?
Cockroaches.
The French during the war.
It's a very sensible answer, but it's not the right one. Cockroaches was, in fact, correct.
Yes!
Well done. Next, Blair steps into what?
child allowance row.
Nice pink slippers.
Child benefit row was the right answer, yes. Next, it's no surprise as Ian what again?
Hislop wins.
It's no surprise as Ian goes to the pictures again.
Goes to the pictures.
Didn't pick up that
This
reference.
bloke down our street, Ian, he's going every day.
Ian wins hunk of the year again.
It's it's actually Ian McShane. It's no surprise as Ian acts up again.
You'd have to act up, he's only little.
Ian McShane is.
Yeah.
He looks really big in Lovejoy.
Oh, no, he's only about an inch taller than you, mate.
Give him a jelly baby pet, quick.
Next, Sharon Stone.
He wants a jelly baby.
Oh, God, here we go. Sharon Stone made me what, 12 hours a day?
2, 1 for late.
Wink.
Sharon Stone made me wink.
I
Itchy.
think it was scrub.
Itchy.
It's from Pest Control, is it? Definitely, this one.
It certainly isn't from Pest
I think
Control.
it's scrub.
Scrub is pretty close.
Supper.
I'll give one to Claire, as they say. Given that it is in fact slave. And finally, repellent. What moves north?
Git.
Repellent factory.
I'm guessing it's resistant.
Factory where they make repellent has moved north.
Repellent manufacturer is the right answer.
Well, he didn't say manufacturer,
He said factory.
Yes.
Same
but-
difference.
Oh, stop nitpicking.
Oh, come on.
That's not nitpicking, that's the difference between a right and a wrong answer. Who's lot?
Right, no more jelly babies for him.
Yeah, we're keeping them, mate.
Which rapid but ill-informed responses bring tonight's conflict to an uneasy peace, and the situation is that Martin and Neil are this week's potted shrimps with 7, whereas Ian and Claire are this week's king prawns with 8.
Well done.
Marvellous. That was super good.
Look at them being noble losers, doesn't it
I
make
think
you
what
sick?
swung it for was you read the papers.
Is this the lowest scoring contest ever?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes! And we lost on the lowest scoring
Yes.
competition ever.
Yes, congratulations.
Interesting.
On which delightful note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Claire Rayner, Martin Clunes and Neil Morrissey, and I leave you with news that the cast of Baywatch is to be replaced with more naturalistic actors. Carol Thatcher puts on a brave face as a small drop of earwax lands on her favourite ring. And the BBC expresses dismay at the opening title sequence for the Swedish version of One Foot in the Grave. Good night.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this program, which was previously shown earlier this year. And next Friday at 10, there's another chance to see that infamous episode when Paula Yates took on Deaton and Company. That's here on BBC Two.